Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the Don't Tell Anyone podcast. This is your insider's guide to the hidden tricks, powerful hacks, and real world advice that music pros keep to themselves. So, whether you're just starting out as an artist, producer, songwriter, or musician, this show will definitely help you cut through the noise, build your craft, and navigate the industry with confidence. Every episode delivers the knowledge and inspiration you need to grow faster and make your mark. So, are you ready to unlock your potential? Let's dive in. And we are joined today by a true force in the electronic music world, a UK-based DJ and producer who has built an impressive career across creation, performance, and entrepreneurship. He first lit up the scene back in 2015 with his explosive NCS debut, which direction quickly followed by massive crowd pleasers like Life is Over and the legendary gaming montage anthem Turn It Up. His hard-hitting trap sound and powerful collaborations, including the star-studded 2021 track Numb the Pain with Clarks, Shia Maisel, Karis, Lemols, Chenda, and many more tracks, helped him achieve over 100 million cumulative streams across all platforms. His music has been featured by major digital and broadcast outlets, including Love Island and Amazon Prime, while his live performances have taken him to stages in South Korea, Australia, India, Ibiza residencies, and beyond, including standout appearances at the Silverstone Formula One Grand Prix and Virgin Atlantic's 40th anniversary celebration. Beyond the studio and stage, he founded Beatsora, a successful marketing infrastructure dedicated to supporting sustainable long term careers for music artists alongside commercial work. He has remained deeply committed to giving back, working with young people in youth centers and young offender institutions to produce over 30 albums with underprivileged and at-risk youth. Driven by a deep understanding of modern music ecosystems and entrepreneurship, he brings years of hands-on experience across creation, performance, and business, positioning himself as a proven force in today's creative industry. Dre Hall, everybody, the one and only Anecdote. Anecdote, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. Thank you. That was an amazing introduction. I'm absolutely flattered. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, thank you for that intro. Wow. That was quite nice. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. I'm really super honored to have you here, man. Like, this is a huge fan moment for me. I've been like growing up listening to Turn It Up so many times, and now I'm
Man,
finally meeting the person right here.
I appreciate it, man. Honestly, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, man. I love your energy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, man. The first question right at you is like, is the same for almost every artist about their origins. So I just want you to take us back to the absolute beginning. What sparked your love for bass heavy electronic music while growing up in the UK, and how did you land upon the name Anecdote?
Oh man. So I had a recording studio. I grew up in a city called Birmingham in the UK, and I was given a grant to open a recording studio when I was about 19 years old. And I was recording a lot of hip hop artists, acoustic artists. I was actually a audio engineer or studio engineer for quite a long time, about maybe 3 years, I'd say. And it was actually my brother who played, I think it was Dum De Dum by Keys and Crates on Trap and Bass. There was a YouTube channel, Trap and Bass, years and years ago this was. And he played it for me, and I just fell in love with the genre. I was like, what is this? This like festival trap sound. It was crazy. I had heard nothing like it. And in the UK, electronic music at that point in time, or in Birmingham, should I say, it wasn't huge. So it was completely brand new. And yeah, fell in love. And then I just went down the whirlpool of electronic music as we all do, seeing all the different subgenres, but trap and bass was something that really, really resonated with me. And I decided to get into it as a producer because I was recording a lot of artists in my studio and they would be featured on prominent radio stations. But there was never any thanks to the engineer. Unfortunately, after I spent hours vocal chopping everything, tweaking the mix, vocal align and everything. It was a long process to make sure that they sounded their best, and there was just not really much recognition for it. So I've decided to go into production and later on DJing because I wanted a little bit of recognition for the work I was doing. And coming across that genre, it was just a perfect blend, and I just started getting into it from there. In regards to anecdotes, the name, if I'm honest with you, I was just looking for something that n no one had. There was no real story behind the name. I was just trying out loads of different things, and then I came across spelling it with a K, and I realized nothing came up on Google. So I knew if I pushed forward with that name, that anything would happen. It would just show my accolades pretty clearly. So it was more of a strategic move than a creative one, if I'm honest. But yeah, there's no real story behind the name Anecdote. It was just I knew nobody else had it.
Okay, man, that is so sick. So, your NCS debut, which direction in 2015 kicked things off for you? So, what was the first NCS email like, and how did it change your day-to-day life as a producer?
So funny enough, that song, yeah, that was probably like that was my first experiment into the whole EDM trap and bass industry. That was like my first, okay, this is what I think sounds pretty good. I don't like it anymore. Listening back, I quite hate. I wouldn't say hate it, but yeah, you always think you could do better. But I had a message from Billy on SoundCloud at the time. That was when everyone was on SoundCloud before Spotify. And he just said, "Hey man, I love the song. Would love to release it on my, I think he said label or YouTube channel, one of the two. But I'd never heard of NCS at the point in time. And I was just like, yeah, go for it, man. Totally fine. I never had a plan to be a an EDM producer, to tour the world or anything. I just thought, let me just give this a shot and see what people think of it. And it was funny because I asked a lot of the artists that I was working with in my studio, hey man, do you want to rap on this? I think that it can be really cool. Nobody's doing it. And nobody really wanted to. So I just put it out myself. And then yeah, Billy jumped in my SoundCloud inbox, says, "Hey, can I release it?" He says, "Yeah." He's like, "I basically want to drop it in like a week." I says, "Cool, go for it, no worries." And then when it came out and I saw like 500,000 views, I was like, what the hell is this? It was not, I'd never heard of NCS at that point in time. It was literally it was such a, oh man, I can't even think of the word. It was just, it didn't feel real. It was just like, because, and it almost felt like he didn't deserve it as well, because I know a lot of people, they probably studied EDM and they really tried to hone in on their craft and they hope to get noticed, especially now. And it was just completely by chance that he just came across the song and he liked it. And that was it. And after that, we just, we formed, I was so thankful to him. I was like, bro, thank you. Because no one really believed in the sound from on my hometown. And that was really like validation that there is an audience for this. And there is a space for this in the industry. And obviously coming from a prominently Christian background for myself, but more culturally hip hop and rap background, this was a very big stretch. This wasn't something a lot of people understood, had heard of, or really wanted to understand the use case, because this is not, for a lot of people, it's not the kind of music that you will, I guess, chill out to. It's not chilled hip hop, or anything like that. But there was such a big space for this with games, TV, movies, and later on down the line, you could really understand the value of this type of music. But at that point, I was really by myself. And no one really wanted to support or get involved with it. So when those numbers came in, it was like, oh my gosh, it felt really nice just to feel like there was people that appreciated what I was trying to do, and the love that I had for the genre as well. It was so nice to come across so many other people that loved it just as much. So yeah, that was it. It was completely by chance. But I always thank Billy every time we speak and I see him, say, bro, you changed my life.
That's such a crazy story. Your most famous track, like Turn It Up, became a monster in gaming montages. So, like, did you expect it to like blow up that way, or was it just another track in the folder at that time?
So that one was a bit more, yeah, that was a bit more strategic, I'd say, because I knew that I had NCS. We were Billy and I think we were part of some of the original or early stage NCS artists, like Electrolyte as well was a big one at that point in time. And then I think it was Alan Walker came maybe a little bit after us, if I remember correctly. Culture Code was doing a lot with NCS at that point as well, if I remember correctly. Pardon if I've if my memory is not what it once was. We're talking, you know, gosh, probably coming up to 10 years now. So bear with me if I'm slightly off with their names. But yeah, I felt that I had an outlet for the music. And so Turn It Up was definitely like, all right, cool. So I know NCS are really supporting YouTube artists. Um, this is what would get me excited, really. It wasn't something I knew was going to be used by YouTubers so much. I just felt like it fit what NCS was going for, and I felt like it was very true to, yeah, it was definitely at the time, this is what would get me up and make me feel like, damn, I like this. So I'd say that was probably the most, I don't want to say planned, but at that point, yeah, I guess planned is probably the right word. I didn't plan for it to be huge, but I definitely knew the direction I was going for in terms of how I wanted the song to feel. Um, and yeah, I sent it to Billy. That one was actually created that in a coffee shop actually while waiting for a partner of mine to finish work at the time. And I was just banging my head, and I saw people looking at me, and I was like, I don't care because I got my headphones on, and I mixed it on headphones as well. Yeah, and I sent it to Billy. He loved it, and again, he was just like, "Yep, I want to drop this." And I think that was when NCS really started to become a formalized label because we didn't have contracts before then. This was the first time contracts were really starting to be involved. And I remember saying to him, I don't care about the contract, just release it. It's fine. You don't have to give me anything. A young, naive kid in the music industry. And he was like, no, we have to do splits. Like we can't not give you anything. Thankfully he said that. Um, but yeah, that one was a little bit more planned. But I had no idea it was going to blow up the way it did. No, that was again just a starstruck moment of, I guess, the power of the label, and the power of YouTube at that time as well. It was just, yeah, even now, still seeing the numbers every time I look at it, it's just crazy to think it's still getting the numbers that it is. So and then once it came out shortly after, that was when I would say the recognition from my hometown and my friends and my family, because they started hearing the song in like Sidemen videos and used in YouTubers that they were watching. And it was like, isn't that Dre's song? And it was like just sending me videos and stuff like that. And that was the turning point for the people that I knew to be like, okay, I get what you're doing now. Which again was just a huge vindicating moment as well. So yeah, and I think, and if I'm just trying to remember, so forgive me if I'm trailing off a little bit, but it's just sparking memories. I think that was the time that I think I sent the stats to my dad, and that was like the first time he said, "I'm proud of you." Like, and I've got that like a
Yeah.
screenshot of the text message because I was just like, I think it was that moment, if I remember correctly, where it was just like it was just completely undeniable at that point, to see tens of millions, let alone one. Um, yeah, it was a crazy moment, absolutely crazy, and the song was made in a coffee shop. So, yeah.
And that is so crazy, man. My next question is like, you've got over 100 million streams now, like mostly from the NCS era. So, how do you feel like looking back at those royalty-free releases? Is it a proud milestone or bittersweet because of how the industry values free music?
Oh, that is a very good question. I'm always thankful. It definitely feels more like it solidified my 20s because those numbers allowed me to start touring and start traveling and performing music, which then allowed me to do a lot of other things in my later years or my more recent years. I look back at it and I think, yeah, great. It's a great achievement, and I'm glad that I dedicated myself to something so early. I think when I look at the numbers now, I guess all I see is just the shift in the music industry and just how difficult it is to get those type of numbers, especially for like newer artists and even under the NCS label as well. It's still doing very well, but it's not what it was in that prime era of NCS and electronic music in general. It's across the board with all of the dance labels really. And I think yeah, it makes me happy to have been a part of it when I was, because I can see how unbelievably difficult it is now for new artists to really to break through because the competition is just so much higher. Back then, yes, there was competition, but nowhere near as what it's like now. And this was the real, in my opinion, golden age of YouTube, like really seeing it blow to what it is now, and seeing these songs being such an integral part of that because people needed copyright-free music, for their gaming montages and and anything else, whatever content that they're creating. And it feels nice to have been a part of that foundational layer of what YouTube is now, what the EDM industry is now. I think that's what I look back at. I don't think, yeah, I guess the other side of it is it taught me as well that numbers don't really mean much. Um, and I guess when I say that, I need to provide a little bit of context of I never put more value on an artist because they had more or less numbers. Some of my closest friends, the fifth guys, I think they're on like a million monthly Spotify now. I was one of their first collaborations when they had nothing. Shire as well, Shire Meisel. Again, very one of the first collaborations into the EDM industry was with me. Didn't have many numbers, didn't care, thought he was a great guy. Paper Skies, who's now, signed with Monster Cat and touring. Again, didn't have much. I did a collaboration with him and we got on Magic Music. And it was like, I never thought that because I had these numbers that I was ever different as a person. I just thought if the music's cool and we resonate with it and you're a cool individual, I'd love to work with you. But I definitely saw individuals their position started to change as their heights and ascendance into the music industry began, where there was this sense of pride and ego that developed because they were now at these numbers, and I just never resonated with that, um, because they are just numbers on a screen. And the real truth of the matter is that these numbers aren't these people don't know you as a person. They don't know your daily struggles or what's going on in your life or your aspirations. All they know is the name on the screen and the music that's attached to it. But you are so much more than that as a human being. And it's I don't mean to get philosophical or anything like that, but that's what comes to mind now. Seeing those numbers was just it's great. I'm so happy for it. But I definitely saw people get a little bit too caught up in the numbers, and it can be very damaging on your mental health to attach your worth to numbers on a screen. Because then what happens if a song doesn't do as well? You know, um, and it's again, my memories are now flooding back of a sense of anxiety that you can feel when a release is coming out that you. Oh, now one song got 1 million, another one got 10 million, and this one needs to get 15, and that's not what it's about. It's not meant to be about just getting more and more numbers. And then that's where you see the creativity and the love of music start to diminish and fade. And it just comes about chasing success and validation and admiration when it's like that's not what it was meant to be about. But it can get so quickly lost when those numbers are coming in because it's something that everyone aspires to. But I guess once you get it, that's when you really your character is really tested, of how you're going to let this change you, and how much emphasis you're going to put on this around you as an individual and your values, I guess. So yeah, apologies for the long-winded answer, but that's what comes to mind when we start thinking about those numbers. Absolutely amazing to have them, but if they're not the be all and end all of you as a person or as you as an artist, for sure.
And that's a true gem of a thing that you said. So, like one of your bigger collabs was Numb the Pain in 2021 with Clarks, Caddis, Limals, Chenda, and Shia Maisel as well. So it like includes a massive number of industry giants on one single song. So like, can you walk us behind that track and how did that track come alive?
So this was yeah, definitely towards the end of when I was really pushing EDM music. I was definitely more performing and DJing a lot more at that point. And it was NCS that reached out that they were doing a album, if I remember correctly, and they wanted to, yeah, they had this idea of basically just putting people into groups depending on their style, their genre, and their relationships. And it was our job to coordinate with one another and provide a finished song for this album. And I can't remember how many artists were on there, but there were many, many artists. Um, and yeah, me and Shia were really close at the time. I think he was really close with Clark's as well. And Clark, I can't remember who reached out to me. It was either Shia or Clark. Says, "Hey man, I'd love for you to be a part of the group." Yep, let's do it. I'm always down. I don't really care who I'm working with or whether they're big or they're small. As long as we've got a good vibe and a good idea, let's do it. And yeah, it seemed like an unbelievable project. And if I'm being 100% honest, at the beginning, I didn't think it was really going to be pulled off because there was a lot of coordination that was needed to have so many people and who's doing what's part. And everyone to agree on a centralized idea. And I have to hand it to Clark's. He was really the driving force of that song. He really pulled everyone together and everyone's schedules and made sure that we had something. Um, and yeah, it was just meant to be a fun project. Again, I don't think anyone on there was really thinking about if it's going to be huge and how many streams. It was just we were glad to be a part of this project that we had never done anything so ambitious. And I think we were all very curious to see if we could pull it off. But as we started, as the files were being sent and everyone was sending their ideas and it started to morph and develop, the excitement started to really to build because it was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is coming out quite good. This is really nice. Um, and yeah, that was it really. There wasn't, there's no real huge story behind it. NCS reached out, we organized the group. Clark's put like a group chat together and we just started going through different ideas. And it took a couple of months. So by the end of it, we had something we were all happy with. I wish I could remember the guitarist's name and the violinist's names. I really can't remember, but we really were so thankful for them doing their live bits. And obviously Shire's vocals were just crazy when he sent his file back. It was just like, oh my God, bro. Like, there's just a feeling once you've got an instrumental and you've got an idea and you send it to a vocalist and they send it back. Anyone that's worked with a vocalist will know, and they just hit it perfectly or so close to perfectly. And it's just like, you've elevated this so much. That was the point. It was just like, this is, yeah, very proud to stamp our names on this. And then again, the reception, because there were much bigger names on the album than us. And for that to be one of the most successful releases, again, just came out of nowhere. And it was just one of those things of no one planned for it to happen, but we were all so happy that it was one of those songs. And I think that is probably my biggest song now on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken, and was the one that was used on Love Island. And I just got videos from people's like, hey, isn't this your song? I was like, oh, crazy. We've got a Love Island feature with this, and again, it was never planned. It was just we wanted to make something we all resonated with. Everyone on the team was really cool, and we put it out and hoped other people would resonate the way we did, and it just did better than we could have ever imagined. And I think that's probably the commonality with any of the songs that were successful is just when we were just trying to just have a good time, not think too much about is it going to be big, is it not. I think those were the ones that did the best because it's just authentic. It was just about the process of creating, not so much trying to create the next hit. You can't force these things. But that was the process. Yeah, it was, yeah, very, very fun, extremely fun. Yeah, I'd be very happy to do something like that again if I was asked, for sure. That was really cool.
And that's a beautiful story,
Yeah.
honestly. You've also performed in places like South Korea, Australia, India, Ibiza residencies. Like, which gig stands out to you as the wildest or most surreal, and why?
Oh my gosh. So many. So many come to mind. I would say, oh, I'd probably start with Ibiza because that's where it started. I dropped out of music university because, in all honesty, I just couldn't believe they were teaching us the difference between sine waves and triangle waves at a university level. So I was just like, we're so far beyond this. Probably just best to stop now because I didn't feel like there was anything that was going to be taught there. And yeah, I think which direction was out at that point in time as well. There was a couple million streams. And a friend of mine wanted to go to Ibiza. She wanted to be a DJ. I said, cool, let's go. I'll go with you. Um, so we went to Ibiza, and basically all we was doing was just asking different clubs, do you need a DJ? Do you need a DJ? Can we do it? Can we try? Again, we're in our early 20s, very, very young, and you just have that youthful vigor of just, I'm gonna make this work. And one of the clubs gave us a shot. We had a 30-minute set each, and he liked what we were playing. It turned into a 2-hour set. And then the DJ that they actually had, for some reason, I think he was ill, he didn't turn up. And so he asked us to play for the whole night, which would have been about 8 hours. But we only had 2 hours worth of songs. So we just played the same set. And that's a key moment for me of just being like playing like the same set again for the third time, thinking I don't have any songs. I didn't plan for this to happen. So that's a key moment, definitely that first one. But he loved it. And I guess he had never really heard like hip hop mixed with trap and playing like these remixes and everything. He'd never heard that stuff, and the crowd loved it. So he actually asked me to come back the next year, and that was my first year of IBC residencies. So that's definitely a key one. That first show, looking back, was hilarious. I'd say another one would have been in the Ibiza residency the next year, where I graduated to a bigger club called Swag. I think it was in Plaidenbossa. My first one was in San Antonio, Ibiza, and I think it was Bora Bora or Plaidenbossa. It was like a 25-minute drive, but the club was huge. And my last night there, I remember Ronaldo was right behind me with his bodyguards, just vibing to the music. Literally, oh man, couldn't be more than like 5 to 10 feet behind me in the VIP area, right behind me. That was a huge moment, just being like, wow, he's right there type thing. That was a big one. I would say Australia, hearing people sing the lyrics to my song. I wish I could remember which one it was. It wasn't an NCS release, but yeah, that was a big moment as well. And then another one that comes to mind, I'd say would be South Korea for sure, because we were flown out there. There was a few of us. Some it was like a hip hop artist, a singer. I was a DJ, and they flew us all out for the Pop Music and Screen Awards, which I think I still have the plaque that they gave us. Um, and it was about 40 degrees in South Korea at the time, and the awards was meant to be hosted indoors, but it was too hot. So the government said, look, anything like museums, big indoor activities, they can't do because it was just far too hot. So they had to rejig everything that week and build a stage on the beach and host it there outdoors because it was so hot. And we didn't think it was going to happen. It was like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this big festival stage, and in a week. It was just like, sorry, I just can't see this really happening. But we were already in South Korea at the time, meeting politicians and generals, and it was at the time it felt very strange because we just thought, aren't we here to perform? But we were definitely interweaving into a political infrastructure for sure. There was definitely a lot of something political that was going on. Nothing nefarious, but definitely we were being shown off to say, look at these artists that I managed to get for the awards type thing. And there was a lot of handshaking going on, which was my first experience of anything like that. Again, early 20s, we're still quite young. But when we got to the day of the event and the stage was built and we saw it, it was just this shock. It was like the biggest stage I'd seen at that time, or the biggest stage I'd played on. And it was huge. And I was just thinking to myself, how am I going to be this one individual on this stage? And it wasn't like super high up, but it was just daunting. It was just unbelievably daunting. And then the day of the event, there was K-pop artists that were performing for us. The other guys did their stuff, and I was closing. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And I think the only word that I knew of Korean was like Anyen Haseyo. Oh God, I probably butchered that, but there was a name, and I think it just meant hello. And in my nerves, that was what I did. I just shouted that 3 times. The crowd shouted it back, and I pressed play, and it was like everything just kind of widened. It was just like, okay, Anikdote is here. And I just got into my performance mode. And I took a lot of pride in really enjoying the music, dancing on the stage, like really jumping, really like providing the energy. And it was an amazing show. Just seeing like a sea of people jumping, like if really enjoying the music. And it was, 40, I think it was like a 45-minute set, and it went by in a flash, coming off that stage, just feeling like I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm in South Korea. I can't believe I just did that set. It was just like surreal. It was just like, this is unbelievable. So that was, yeah, those are probably the four memories that really come to mind when we're talking about like the international shows for sure. Um, yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy looking back, and very blessed to have done those things.
And that is crazy. When did you actually play here in India? And how would you say your experience was?
Oh gosh, India was, I think it was 2017 or 2019, I think it was. I was messaged by an artist manager who wanted me to come and play, and he wanted me to do a collaboration with one of his artists. And that was fine. He says, yeah, come, we love your stuff out here in India. I think I performed in Kolkata, I remember. Um, but I don't remember the names of the other cities, unfortunately. But it was a nice time. So yeah, they flew me out there to basically build relationships with them and their artists. They booked a few shows. If I'm being honest with you, I could tell that it wasn't really. I'd say it's probably my less professional experiences, if I'm being 100% honest. It was a pleasure to be out there. It was great to meet the people. It seemed like EDM and trap was huge in India. It was very well received, but the actual shows themselves didn't feel like they were put together as well as some of the other places that I'd been to. But yeah, it was mainly just a relationship building experience that was meant to lead on to a song between myself and this artist manager. If I'm being 100% honest, what they promised and what they said it was going to be wasn't my experience there. And so the relationship didn't really go much further after that because, yeah, I guess at that point I was just used to a certain level of organization, and it wasn't that. The videographer as well that they hired wasn't able to take. Basically, I didn't get any footage or anything. I didn't get any pictures or anything, which was promised. So there was I wasn't really able to come out of that with anything, unfortunately. And then obviously the shows themselves weren't put together with the level of professionalism that I would have liked. So yeah, unfortunately, it was a great experience to see India. Although the food didn't agree with me, but I would say the tour itself was probably one of the ones I enjoyed a little bit less, unfortunately. Yeah, I think that's probably the most respectful way to say that.
All good, man. So,
Yeah.
NCS privated Life is Over back in 2019 over a vocal sample issue. So,
Yes.
walk us through what happened there. Was it a headache, a learning curve, or just industry politics?
Oh, a huge learning curve. It was absolutely my fault. It was just a blunder. Again, when you're young, you don't understand the intricacies of, I mean, I understood how samples worked, but the sample was used from, I think it was like freesamples.com, something along those lines. So I saw that and thought, oh, great. Okay, I can use this. Not looking into anything further to say there's licenses that still need to be purchased. And so, the song went out, and then years and years later, I just got an email from NCS saying, look, there's been a little bit of an issue with this sample. This individual has said that it's been used, and they had their requirements of what they wanted for it. Luckily, and I have to commend NCS for this because they were so supportive and they knew it was nothing nefarious, that we were just young kids at the time, releasing music, and it was just a mistake. I guess in that front, I felt and I still feel I would have preferred for the vocalist just to have reached out to me, and we could have just very much easily have spoken about it and gotten her what she rightfully deserved. And we could have, and I would have loved to have formed like a friendship with her. And I think if that would have been the approach, I would have definitely been open to working with her in the future. But the fact that it was done through legal means, which I completely understand, um, it left me with a bit of a sour taste in my mouth that there was no a message could have just been sent to say, hey, this is my sample, my vocal that I think you've used. Can we just jump on a quick call because I don't think there was a license that was purchased for it. No problem. Let's sort it out. I'll call the label. I'm so sorry, young kid. I didn't realize. My apologies. And I think like we could have just sorted this out a bit more privately. But that wasn't the approach. I think I did get a message from her. And I think if I remember correctly, it was something along the lines of I'd love to work with you in the future. But obviously, with the way that it was handled and approached, that was just like a closed door thing for me. But that was basically the reasoning behind that. It was just naivety as a young artist, and obviously no one think not yeah, naivety as a young artist. But the way that NCS really handled it with an unbelievable amount of support. So I really commend them. But yeah, there was just you just have to be aware of these things. And I guess it puts me in the position now that when I'm working with younger artists, when I'm working with younger people, that I really preface, you got to understand this stuff because you have no idea how big your song is going to be. And it can really cause issues for you down the line. But not just that, but to respect that the same way you wouldn't want your work to be used and not credited, etc., to understand that there's anything that you've used from someone else, has been created by someone else, and to bear that in mind when using samples or or anything online, making sure that you've got the permission, making sure you've got the licenses. But I just think it was just a lack of information guidance at the time and just a little bit of just young naivety. But that's yeah, that's it really. That's all that happened there, unfortunately. But yeah, I guess I just wish it could have been handled a little bit better in my personal opinion. But I totally understand why everything happened the way it did.
Okay. You've also built a solid catalog, but monthly listeners sit around like 240 to 50K on Spotify. So, like, does that number ever frustrate you, or are you content with the legacy streams rolling in?
Oh no, it doesn't frustrate me. I haven't released music in 3 years. And to see that there's still a quarter of a million people listening, after 3 years is no, doesn't concern me at all. I'm still quite honored that there's a quarter of a million people every month that want to hear my stuff. No, that doesn't concern me at all. I am 30, I'm in my early 30s, my 31 now. These songs were created when I was, my early 20s. So my life has evolved and my career has evolved a lot more into entrepreneurship, whereby the amount of streams or numbers that I have, again, amazing, really thankful for them, but it's not my primary focus at this stage of my life. No, unfortunately, it doesn't bother me at all. Still very, very thankful and grateful. And I think that's one thing as well to also really preface on is just throughout everything that's happened, there's always been a sense of gratitude for it. I don't think it's wise to look at comparison is the thief of joy, and to look at other people and say, oh, I wish I had that. And, they've got 600,000 or they've got 2 million. And it's like, there are people like 95 to 98% of artists have less than a thousand monthly listeners. Like the large, large, large majority of artists in every genre don't even get 1,000. So it could never frustrate me to have 250,000, to be in the 2% of people that have, it's just, I guess it all comes down to perspective. And mine has always tried to be one of gratitude with everything that's happened with music. I'm still immensely thankful for those numbers. So yeah, no frustration whatsoever. Especially after not releasing music for 3 years. Yeah, I'm still quite blown away by that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That's a big milestone. Okay, man. My next question is the royalty-free model has helped launch so many careers, but it also flooded the market with free music. So, like, do you ever regret jumping on NCS early, or do you think it was the only realistic path back then?
No, I don't regret it at all. I mean, I guess I wish my understanding of contracts was a little was higher. But there was just no way for that to have been the case because I there was no mentorship. There was no one, kind of there's no like guiding light, and this model of music as well. It was relatively new. We were definitely moving away from more physical, CDs, Walkman, and then the iPod came out and stuff. That we were moving towards a digital age, so it was new for everyone, and I don't think there really could have been much guidance, especially from a young boy from Birmingham of all places. And so I wish that I had a better understanding of what I was signing, but I do not regret signing it. And I definitely don't regret releasing with NCS. Again, from a place of gratitude, we're having this conversation because I was released with them and because of the successes that came from our collaboration. I have lifelong friends, unbelievably lifelong friends that I really cherish and I really love due to the work and the career that I've had in the music industry. So absolutely no regrets, no. Um, there are some things that could have been slightly different and slightly better, but I think that's the case in anything that you do in life. You're always going to look back and say, "Oh, I wish." But I guess one thing that I really like now is when you look back and you have certain regrets, it means that you're growing. It means that you have a better understanding now, and that you're looking back and learning from any mistakes or experiences that you've had. Um, and that's just how I feel. There's no regret. There's only just, okay, cool. I know now for the future, and the deals that I do and the negotiations that I have, I come into it with a level of experience because of the time that I had with NCS and the time in the music industry.
Collaborations seem key in your Discog, like with Harley Bird, Oriental Cravings. Like, who's on your dream collab list right now?
Oh man, I think probably. Oh man, I think I've collabed with everyone that I really wanted to. I think Roy Knox is someone that I've really respected. I've always loved his sound. And yeah, Roy Knox. Oh dear. I know. Yeah, I think I've collabed with him. And again, I know that people would expect me to bring up big names and say, "Oh, I'd love to, collab with Virtual Riot." And as much as that would have been nice, yeah, I guess I just in a different stage in my life where I want to collab with the people that I've always respected from the beginning of my journey. Those names that I heard, I was like, oh man, no, that's not the right way to phrase it because I've always respected Virtual Riot as well. But I guess it's just not one that comes to mind. I think Roy Knox is probably the last person that I've come across, more so not on like a super celebrity status level, if that makes sense. A name
Yeah,
like Virtual Riot is just it's too obvious to say, I guess. I think Roy Knox is very, very well respected, but still, I wouldn't say a household name as of yet. And so when I'm thinking about it in that perspective, I would say Roy Knox, my friend Biometrics as well. I love a lot of stuff that he does. We've just never managed to finish a collaboration between the two of us. Um, and I think that's probably it at the moment. I think that as well because I transitioned from EDM and I started doing lo-fi in the lockdown. And that was more I play piano. I've always played piano to help get emotions out. And that just transitioned into creating lo-fi music, which did really well. I had a really successful release with chill beats, things on like 2 million streams or something like that. And I didn't tell anyone about this. It was just a secret project. And so my love for music became a little bit less about collaborating in the EDM industry and more about creating something that I felt resonated with who I was now at this stage of my life, which isn't, I love EDM, but I don't, it feels like that was more my early 20s. And now when I listen to music and now when I resonate with music, it actually has a much more calmer feel to it, vibe to it. And there are definitely avenues in that space that I think I would much rather explore than any more collaborations in the EDM industry. So yeah, I hope that provides context. There's lots of people that I respect, but I'd say there's only a couple of people I'd really, really, really want to collaborate at this stage in my life. And I think that's probably Roy Knox and probably Biometrics, because everyone else that I wanted to collaborate with, I was able to.
that is really amazing, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Mental health in music is huge now, and you've got 100 million plus streams. Have there been any moments where the pressure, comparison, or the industry grind hit hard?
Only in the early years, only when it first started, I'd say around when Turn It Up came out. Yeah, that was when there was like, oh my gosh, I have to maintain this momentum. And then when I started touring as well, there was always bigger shows or always, like big festivals like Tomorrowland. But when I stopped and I reflected it wasn't that I wanted to play these shows. It was that I wanted to be playing the shows that I thought other people would respect. And so then the desire for that, the more that you start to reflect internally and you ask yourself, why is it that I want to do this? Why is it that I want that? And it became very much I only want it because I think other people will respect it. All the desire went because it's like you don't want to. I like EDM music, but I do not like festivals. I don't like this being squashed in a section. I don't like the high level of drug use. I don't like overly drunk people. I've never drank at a show. I've never taken drugs at a show. All of that stuff just has never resonated with me. And unfortunately, it is so intertwined with the live EDM culture that there was this clash of I would love to play the show. I would love to play the music. I would love to see these artists, but I don't like the environment in which it's taking place in. And that is backstage and in the audience. That has always just been I don't like this. And I really found that out in Ibiza, where I did the residencies and I got to the point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't see people passed out on the streets, generally like, are they alive? Do you know what I mean? What do I do in this situation? No one cares, kind of. Not that no one cares. That's a bit of a stretch, but that's not the kind of environments that I wanted my music to bring me to. And so yeah, there was definitely a point where comparison, and I need to do more, I need to get more, blah, blah, blah. But once I reflected internally, uh, I realized it wasn't actually what I wanted. And I didn't think I would be able to play those kind of shows without having those type of environments included in that. And that's not to say that every single show is like that. That's not to say that every festival is like that. It's not, but it's just there was a very high probability of that being the case based on my experiences. Um, and yeah, the desire and comparison completely dissipated. Yeah, I just was like I felt also once after I'd played multiple continents, especially when I came back to London and the kind of shows that I was playing, around London, you know, Silverstone Grand Prix to name a recent one, to see Lewis Hamilton like within arm's width of me, someone I've admired, that felt so much more gratifying because F1 and cars is something I really resonated with. And to go there with my music and perform and not have the whole, drugs and super drunk and, just that environment felt like a really nice sweet spot where I was like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be, what I want to do. And I can still stay true to myself and my musical style and everything that I enjoy to play without having the environment that I just don't resonate with. So yeah, I wouldn't say yeah, comparison and all of that. That had gone a long, long time ago. Long, long time ago.
Man, I'm going to add here. So, how did you really land up the gig at the Silverstone circuit?
So I have some agents in London, and one of them, because they know that I love cars, like, you know what, I'm gonna grab some stuff because I think you'll like this. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of sneak peek since you want to know the behind the scenes of Anecdote. So I am very much into cars, always have been. So this is me driving a Formula 1000 car about 3 years ago, I think it was, just before lockdown, or actually, no, probably 6 years ago now. And this is me driving a Lamborghini GT3 as well.
Oh my God.
Here are some of my go-karting medals, like my second place and third place medals. I got a little trophy here from Daytona, which is an outdoor. My first place trophy is like it's an outdoor go-karting circuit. They go about 70 miles an hour. And then I have the official F1 champagne as well that they have. And then I have all the lanyards that we got when I played at Silverstone. We got access to almost like everything. It was crazy. So that, oh, and I've got like a drivers club membership thing so I can go and drive all these cars and have fun. But I show this to say that again, I love EDM and I love the numbers, but there is much more to your life than what's showing on Spotify, And so, yeah, so anyway, my agents really know how much I love cars, and I was asked to play for the SRO championships. Oh man, I can't remember if we're talking 2019 or 2021. I can't remember, but I did about 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and that is where they give the awards for all of the GT drivers that won the championship in that year. And so I played there for about 3 years because obviously anything to do with cars, I was happy to do. And then someone else saw me who also had relationships with the Silverstone Grand Prix. And they said, look, looking for a DJ, I think you'd be great for it. Do you want to do it? I was like, yes, but I'd already played at the circuit twice for two other functions, two other events that were going on there, but it wasn't the Formula One race. It was just other functions at the race circuit. So I already had experience there. And obviously, I played for the SRO championships. I love cars. I'd had a wide discography of events that I'd played for, and it was just a perfect fit. And he was like, look, if you like, I'd love to have you. And I was like, absolutely yes. And I personally made a folder. I sent him all of the pictures. These are all the cars I've driven. These are the gigs I've played there. Here are my videos of the SO championships. Like I sent him just everything. I was like, you have no idea how much this would mean to me. Like, yes, 100,000 times. Yes. And he made it happen. And he was looking after the entertainment for most of the venues because they have different spots where you can view around the racetrack. And I think he had about 40 different acts over the weekend. And I think I was the only one that was playing every single day. And that's how it came about. It was just he saw me at another event. And there was definitely this love of cars that I've always had since I was younger. And anyone that works me in the music industry will know. Like it's a huge, huge passion. And so that's how it came about. But when when I think about what excites me, when I think about what I want for my life, that excitement doesn't come when I'm thinking about Tomorrowland. You know, the fact that I'll run
Yeah.
and grab all the look cool, hear all of my pictures, you know, it's great and I'm really thankful for it. But you know within yourself what you are really truly passionate about, what really lights a fire. And unfortunately, you know, as much as I'm still a part of the music industry, there were just things that just didn't for me. They just didn't. And there were things that did. And I always just followed the things that yeah, make me the most happy and excited to do.
And that's really interesting, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, man. So the next segment is going to be a rapid fire round, and you have to like answer like in one word, and don't explain yourself unless you really have to.
Okay, I'll do my best. All right, you're gonna put me under pressure now. All right, let's do it.
Okay. Uh, the favorite bass drop you've ever made.
I forgot the name of it. My song with Paper Skies. Um, oh man, my song with Paper Skies. Forgot what it's called, but yeah, the song with Paper Skies and Magic Music.
Okay. The worst studio session ever.
When I was in Birmingham years ago, recording for an artist that was singing out of key the whole time, and then having to fix those vocals. Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Okay. Turn it up or numb the pain.
turn it up.
Okay. Your biggest influence growing up.
Ricky Remedy.
Man, he's yeah, insane.
Yeah.
NCS or Trap Nation. Better platform back in the day.
Uh, you have to give a little bit more context. In what regard? Like, would I like want to release on, or who I respect, or like in what regard?
Just what do you like? What do you prefer between NCS or Trap Nation?
I think NCS, well, I think that because I have a personal relationship with them, it's always going to be NCS. But Trap Nation was part of the reason I got into EDM. So that is a tough one. Trap Nation and Trap and Bass were the two channels I was listening to religiously. But NCS was the one that I released with. So that's so hard. NCS.
Okay.
And yeah, NCS, yeah.
Okay. Your favorite food?
Steak. Yeah, steak.
Right. What's your guilty pleasure?
Wine. I like collection.
Yeah.
Not that I drink it all
Okay.
the time, but yeah, I'd say that's a guilty one for sure.
Okay. Your dream festival to headline.
Oh man. Honestly, it would be, yeah, it would just be maybe Qatar Grand Prix, Silverstone. Qatar Grand Prix, Formula One. It wouldn't be a
Okay.
festival, it would be like the closing race for Formula One would be, I think it's hope it's the Qatar Grand Prix, I think it is. The final Grand Prix and F1 championship would be that would be the one for sure.
Where they are going to announce the world champion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where they win the firework, actually that last race. Yeah, that one, 100%. Not if I played that, I would, oh God, I would die. I would just be like, that's it. I'm happy with life. 100%.
Yeah, man. Okay. The most overrated trend in EDM.
Probably funk, if I, in my opinion. I think, but that's probably a generational thing, you know. I think the young guys really like the funk sound. Older guys probably look at it and say, you know, it's popular, but personally a little bit overrated. Yeah. You wouldn't, I don't think anyone would go to a 4 hour funk show.
Absolutely.
No one would really.
I'm of the same opinion, honestly. Okay. The most underrated producer right now.
Ricky Remedy, 100%, straight away. He deserves so much more love than he gets. He's unbelievable. And it's sad that I think it's just the genre. I mean, maybe something happened behind the scenes, you know, in regards to the industry. But I think maybe with the rise of dubstep, trap, and you know, festival trap, you know, just it just didn't have the same level of appeal for a while, and I think he's been a casualty of that. But he's unbelievable. He's very. There's no sound. You just know a Ricky Remedy song. I don't think you can always say the same about other genres, or other producers where you can just listen and you know who made it. Ricky Remedy is probably one of those few that you probably can, in
I
my opinion.
remember like the first time I ever heard about Ricky Remedy was when he did an ad with Apple, and there were some dolphins like swimming around, and I there was his track going on in the background, and like that was my first impression of him.
Yeah, he's so good. He's done a lot of stuff that people don't really know. I think, what would you say is your favorite song with him?
There are many, like there are one with Bilo, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So that one is my favorite from him, I would definitely say.
Did you hear Startup 2.0?
I think I did, yes.
If you haven't heard it, I would highly recommend listening. That one's a really, really cool song, especially back in the day. It was like it's like future-based chords with trap. It's a very interesting fusion that he did. Um Very Ricky Remedy style, very out of the box kind of style. Unbelievable producer.
Okay. Your Beats or a client win that you're most proud of.
Sorry, say that again, sorry.
The Beats or a client win that you're most proud of.
I'd say artist Janai, I would say. We did a campaign with him to get a song up to about 20,000 streams, and the song is well over 200,000, and it's just consistently growing long after the campaign is finished. Yeah, and yeah, very, very proud of that one for sure. He's that's done very, very well for him. I'd say, and to add another one, I'd say Noah as well, who was a child we worked with, because we do like education workshops with kids as well. And yeah, he's on, I think like 50,000 monthly listeners now, and he's got like multiple songs and the millions of streams. And when we first met him, he was so shy and wasn't sure what he wanted to do. And now he's got millions of streams and getting distribution deals. And yeah, that's those two are very, very proud names to come out of the company for sure.
One artist that you'd love to remix.
Ooh. Oh, that's a great question. I'd probably go with Shire. Anything with a Shire vocal, I would love to remix. There's just so much emotion. Shire, yeah, yeah, Shire, hands down. Anything with a Shire vocal, I would happily take. Yeah, yeah, Shire. Shire Marshall.
Okay. Ibiza or South Korea crowds? Which one is wilder?
Ibiza. Ibiza. Yeah, 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 Ibiza. And I think I would still like to do Ibiza as well. I think I prefer, yeah, yeah, Ibiza, Ibiza. There's a lot more going on musically in Ibiza. So yeah,
Your favorite non-musical hobby?
driving, racing, go-karting, driving sports cars, hypercars.
Okay. Biggest industry pet peeve.
Um, how underpaid artists are. I think that's a big one. Is it feels very, very difficult for artists to make a sustainable living off their craft. But I guess that's a wider discussion within itself. But I'd say that's probably a pet peeve is seeing very, very talented artists not being able to have the opportunity to really delve into their craft and have their finances taken care of. Yeah, I'd say that's probably a big pet peeve. Or seeing artists, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Artists
Okay.
being paid enough, yeah.
Spotify playlists or YouTube algorithms, which helped you more?
Spotify. Yeah, Spotify helped me more for reasons that I don't think I'm allowed to say. Yeah, Spotify helped me more. Yeah, I can only say that.
Okay. Well, this podcast is called Don't Tell Anyone, so if you might want to
I,
say.
well, I don't remember if I've signed anything that would prevent me if I was saying, but yeah, yeah, I would say okay. What I would say is the financial benefit has been more so from Spotify.
Okay. One word to describe your 2016 self.
Entrepreneurial, yeah, entrepreneurial. I now run two businesses, and I think I have a great understanding now of business, brands. Yeah, yeah, entrepreneurial for sure. The opportunities that that I am now dealing with far beyond what I ever thought was going to be possible 10 years ago. Entrepreneurial.
And one word for your 2026 self.
Oh, I thought that was the question. Sorry. What was the last question? I got it
Your
wrong.
2016 self.
Oh,
Your.
sorry. Okay. Take these answers then. So that one's
Okay,
for the
okay.
20. Oh, so one word for my 2016 self would have been driven and energized. Yeah, driven for sure. There was a youthful energy that was just, I did not think it was possible to fail. I just didn't when I was younger. I just thought, no, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this happen. So, yeah, driven or ambitious is what I would say.
Okay. Have you ever hosted a collab?
Ghosted.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Many times. More so just out of time. There is just not enough there is just not enough time. It's flattering, but I get a lot of messages for a lot of opportunities in many different realms, and unfortunately, you just can't get back to all of them. I try to, but a lot of them get lost. So yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that I've just had to.
Okay. Best advice you've ever received from another producer?
The problem isn't needing another plugin. The problem is your understanding. Something along those lines of just buying more plugins is not going to make the mix better. You need to understand what's going on, and that's what's going to make the mix better for sure.
Okay.
That is definitely true. More plugins and more samples are not going to suddenly
Yeah,
transform to a better producer.
that is correct. The worst. Okay. The worst advice you've ever gotten.
Sign this contract, it will change your life. It was a contract that someone tried to, there was two individuals, me and another person who I'm very sad that they signed it, but they signed a deal and it completely ruined their career. Completely. I'm glad I didn't, to say the least.
AI in music, is it a game changer or a threat?
Asking some good questions today. I'd say both. Yeah, it's both. It is going to be a game changer because understanding music production, mixing, song arrangement, promotion, distribution, music business, there's a lot that falls on any music creator. And if you are able to absolve a large portion of that and just focus on music business without needing to learn music creation, you're probably going to get very far. AI allows people to do that, to just put in prompts or and do whatever they need to do to get a very nice sounding product and just focus on how do I promote it and how do I make money from it, which is the promotion of the business side. And it's going to allow a lot of people to be financially beneficial, for it to be, financially lucrative for them. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that understand the creation side very well, but don't understand the promotion and business side, and that's where it's going to be a threat to them. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yes. Uh, Morning person or night owl?
Morning, for sure. It's funny to
Okay.
say that as someone who DJs, but yeah, 100% morning.
Okay. If you could delete like one of your tracks forever, which would be?
Life is over. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that one I've gotten rid of.
One thing most people do not know about Rayhan.
I'm not as tall as people think I am. Every time I meet someone in person, they think I was gonna be like 6 foot. It's like I'm not. I'm like 5'10". So I don't know what it is about the angling on Instagram that people think I'm taller, but I'm not like 6'2" or anything. I'm a bit broad, but I'm like 5'10". I'm not a super tall person.
I'm 5'10" as well.
Hey man, there we go. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I don't know what this is. Like I thought you were gonna be taller. Thank you. Appreciate that be the first thing you say to me. I met up with the fifth guys in Italy, and that was the first thing that they said. It's like I thought you were gonna be tall, and they're both like 6 foot as well, which is frustrating. Yeah, I've got loads of friends, and they're all tall, but I'm just not one of them.
Same here, man. Future of bass music in one sentence.
The younger generation, they decide what's trendy. Whatever the young people are listening to is where the industry will go.
Yeah, that is correct. Shout out to one person who's had your back.
There's so many. I would say Matt Brooks, who was the person that took me off the street and made me learn logic in a youth center. And that was how I learned music in general. If it wasn't for him, nothing would have happened. So I would say, yeah, Matt Brooks. And funny enough, he's now the drummer for Ray. He's been her drummer for years, and he was the guy who changed my life. So Matt Brooks.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you two options, and you have to choose between one of them.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
Okay. Clarks or Fifth Guys?
Why are you doing this? This is horrible. That is a horrible question. I have to choose.
You can skip, you can say both, or you can pass the
Can I give my
question.
reason? Can I give my reason?
Yes, you
Yeah,
can give your reason as well.
the fifth guys. I have dinner with them and their family every year. I love those guys. They're like brothers. So the fifth guys.
Okay. Shea or Robbie?
Shire. Yeah, I go Shire.
Okay. Alan Walker or Wario?
I'd go Alan Walker. Yeah, I'd go Alan Walker. He was prominent in my appreciation of EDM as well. I think Alan Walker was the first time I really saw how far an EDM song could go from being something relatively small. So I would say Alan Walker. That rise blew my mind. I was like, wow, yeah, Alan Walker.
Okay. Disfigure or Different Heaven?
Sorry, I didn't catch the first name.
Disfigure.
Or Different Heaven. Different Heaven for me.
Okay. Sinkhole or Electronomia?
I'm sad to say I don't know either one of those names. I'm gonna have to skip that one.
Okay. Okay. Lost Sky or Unknown Brain?
Mm, that one's gonna have to be a skip as well. I don't know if I can decide between the two.
Okay.
That one I'm gonna have to skip.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. Okay. Tobu or Jim Yosef?
You are good at this. This is horrible. Jim Yosef. Jim Yosef. Jim
Okay.
Yosef.
Okay. Culture Code or Aero Chord?
Error code. Oh wait, so did you
Okay.
say cult code or error code?
Yes, I did. Culture
Oh,
Code
sorry.
or Aero Chord.
Sorry, culture code. Yeah, sorry. Culture code. Yeah. Love everything that they do. Another underrated art duo. as well. Yeah, culture code.
Okay. Cartoon or retrovision?
Retrovision by a very small margin.
Okay.
Retrovision.
Marshmallow or K391?
Yeah, it depends on what you're basing it on. But I would still, yeah, I would have to go marshmallow. I just, again, you just have to respect. Yeah, again, similar thing with like Alan Walker. You just have to respect everything that happened and everything that they built, to build a brand like that. Yeah, marshmallow, yeah, marshmallow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rival or cadmium?
Right, rival, rival,
Okay.
rival. Yeah, respect his career as well. Rival.
Baron Gates or Roy Knox?
Roy Knox. Yeah,
Okay.
Roy Knox. Again, this is just personally for me.
Okay. Shipwreck or electrolyte?
Electrolyte as well. Electrolyte. Yeah,
Okay.
unbelievably fundamental to NCS, and I really like him. I love his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, Electrolyte. Yeah, yeah, Electrolyte.
Okay.
Very genuine person.
Okay. Illenium or suburban?
Elenium. Yeah, Elenium.
Okay.
I feel like we're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna disagree with me, but
Okay. Rob Gasser or Zeus X Corona?
I don't know those names either. So sorry. Not huge in the
Okay.
in sorry. Skip.
Okay. 2016 solo drops or 2021 mega collabs?
Mega collabs. I think it's very interesting to hear two different people like what they did together. Yeah, yeah, definitely. The mega collabs.
Okay. Life is over or I'm a killer?
I think it has to be Life is Over. That was the song that people were singing in Australia, now that I remember it. I'm a Killer, I like, but the mix is terrible. The mix was better. I probably would have gone with I'm a Killer. But yeah, Life is Over.
Okay. Heaven's Gate or Don't Let It Go?
Don't Let It Go. Heaven's Gate has um we tried to put like a dubstep growl thing in there that it just didn't need. If we didn't have that, I probably would have went Heaven's Gate, which is actually was made with my cousin, actually. Funny enough,
Oh,
he
that's
had
really
a
amazing.
really cool project, and I says, let's collab on this. I'll finish it and we'll put it out. But we just wish we didn't include that growl. Yeah, 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 yeah. Don't let it go.
Okay. Turn it up or which direction?
Turn it up. I prefer that over which direction.
Okay. Trap drops or melodic builds?
With who I am now, I'd say the melodic bass. If you asked me this 5 years ago, I probably would have said hard trap drops. But yeah, the melodic stuff now for me. Yeah.
Okay, man. So now I'm going to be talking you about Beatsora now. So
Okay.
I've got to ask this because like I'm genuinely curious and I think a lot of our listeners will be too. So as someone who's still like learning behind the scenes of music, can you break Beatsora down for us in the simplest way? And what problem were you trying to solve when you created it?
I guess it's difficult to be in a simple way. Right, currently in its current form, it is a music marketing service for artists. At the core of that is for us to provide something we wish we had when we were all artists, everyone on the team. So we have a very similar ethos of doing everything organically and working with the artists to provide the best service that we possibly can. However, it started off as a beat store for hip hop artists. So they would have songs that did not have any copyrighted material in them. Because that happens a lot in the hip hop industry. They'll use a song from another source and it will contain a copyrighted sample. They'll release it and then they'll get a strike 3 months later, and they never knew. So we saw that happening a lot, and that was where we really started. But it definitely has transitioned into a marketing and PR company now. For honestly, it's independent artists, record labels, other companies use us as well for their services. So yeah, that's where it currently is. The education side of music is something we're looking into very heavily because that's been a big um request that we've had from clients is just wanting to understand more about the business and the marketing and just everything music as a whole. So that might be something that we end up looking into very heavily. But as it currently stands, in February 2026, we are a organic marketing and PR service for musicians and artists.
That is really amazing, man.
Thank
So,
you.
Beatsora is your baby now. So,
Yeah.
running a music promo agency after your own success, like what frustrated you most about promotion as an artist that made you start it?
The high volume of bots, that is the most frustrating thing. I mean, it's one of the reasons we transitioned because it was just such a huge problem in the industry of being an artist. You know how much time, effort, love, passion, decisions go into a finished product. And then, you just want people to hear it. There's 100,000 songs coming out on Spotify every day. it's an unbelievable amount of competition. So you just want to cut through the noise. And there are so many agencies that profiting off this desire and not providing the service they said they're going to provide. And we get on calls with people and hear horror stories every week of songs that they put their heart and soul into getting removed from Spotify because they trusted the wrong person. That's what frustrates me, is because it's, yes, it's more work to do things organically. Well, of course it is. But just because something's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I do not think taking the easy way and destroying people's musical creations is anything that anyone should be proud about. And there are individuals and companies that are consistently doing that, and destroying people's faith in the music industry in the process. 100% my biggest gripe here, for sure. Just the rise of fake and bot streams and the amount of artists that are affected by them every day.
Okay. Trustpilot reviews Beatsora about being absolutely genuine and no fake streams at all. So, in an industry full of shady promo services, like what are some of the biggest red flags an artist should watch out for?
It's going to sound bad, but I guess really cheap prices. We try to keep our prices as, I mean, we still try to keep our prices as cheap as possible, but there is unfortunately, you can't provide a good service without having the funds to do so. You can't pay people to be looking at campaigns. You can't run ad spend. You can't, build and purchase playlists, organic ones, without funds. So when something is really, really cheap, I understand why people go for it, but usually that's somewhat of an indicator, usually. But I think you can always just artist.tools is a great resource for checking playlists, the founder reputation as well. Do you know who you're talking to? What is their online reputation? Um, even Trustpilot reviews as well. Like, look at the worst Trustpilot reviews, not the best, because unfortunately Trustpilot can be fake as well. Even our reviews, they are organic, but there's no way for us to prove that, because a lot of people
Yeah.
fake those reviews as well. It's yeah, it's tough. It's just speak to the artists that have used the service. That's probably the best thing you can do. We put video testimonials, we put the names of artists we've worked with, we've got screenshots of everything. We do our best not to hide anything. So you can reach out to the artist and say, hey, how was your experience? You tell me. And I think that's probably the best indicator you can have, is just coming from the customer themselves and looking at the worst reviews that individuals have. And if there's no reviews, I personally would stay away from that. I personally, because the stakes are too high to get it wrong, not just financially, but it's your creation and your song that's on the line that can be removed. And all of the work you put into it is now gone through no fault of your own. So yeah, speaking to customers and really knowing who is the face and the name of the individual that is handling your song is probably the best way to go. Not just trusting an Instagram DM without a face, not wise, or trusting something that's super cheap, not wise.
Even like getting paid placements on playlists, right?
So my opinion on that is it's very mixed, because I don't think the paying for the placement is the problem. Because if you look at a Marvel movie, they are
Mhm.
paying for a placement, on a TV ad. Everyone is paying for visibility in some regard. There is never any movie that comes out that doesn't have twice as much of the production cost set aside for marketing. You have to market yourself. There's no way around it. I don't think there's an issue with placements, because all you're doing is putting yourself in a position to be heard. Nothing wrong with it. But knowing the information behind the playlist that you're paying, that's the most important thing, is are these going to be organic, and where are the streams coming from? Um, but paying for placements within themselves, I don't think is inherently abnormal to any other industry paying for marketing in any other regard. It's no different whatsoever. It's just making sure you're paying someone that is bringing you the results that you're looking for.
Okay, so, as someone who's both an artist and now a promoter via Beatsora, like, what's the most hypocritical thing you have seen labels or platforms do to emerging talent?
The Sorry, I didn't catch the word, what thing?
Like, you are an artist as well and also a promoter via Beatsora, right? So, like, what's the most hypocritical thing that you've seen labels do to emerging talents?
Hypocritical.
Yeah, labels or platforms.
Oh man. I would say, I mean, every platform label will claim to care about the artists. I think that has to be a number one. You're not going to want to partner with someone that you don't feel cares about you or your craft or your artistry. But and it's a very difficult situation to be in here because I understand both sides, but I think that royalties, specifically when you're working with labels, I don't think there should be a segregation of royalties. I think that on all platforms, on all places, all royalties should be paid out to all of the individuals. I don't think there should be a point where there is a platform that has generated income and that income has not been directly um, attributed to the artist in some way as well. And the reason why I say that is I understand that a label has to be profitable. I understand it's a business. I understand they have costs. I understand they have employees. But I do think at the core of what we're trying to do should be artist centric, that you are dealing with a human being, not just a product. It's not just another song for you to potentially blow up. This is someone's creation and someone's livelihood, and that they should also benefit from this collaboration as well as you. I'm not saying one should be more or less. Whatever splits are decided is whatever splits are decided. But I definitely don't think there should ever be a case where there has been income that has come to through a product that has been created by the artist and promoted by the label, but only the record label has received the financial benefit of that in any regard. There should always be both parties. That is something that I've seen that I wholeheartedly, strongly disagree with, regardless of, yeah, I strongly disagree with that. I don't think that's a good practice. No, I don't think that's right.
Okay. My next question is running Beatsora means you are deep in the promo game, right?
Yes.
So, have you ever turned down an artist because their music just didn't slap, or do you take almost anyone who pays?
No, we turn down people, and it's not big if we don't think it slaps. It's more down to your desired results. Any song, if music is subjective, as much as I might not like something, there will be people that do. My music was a testament to that. There were many people that didn't think that my music was particularly good in comparison to others. Totally fine, but there's other people that do. So I would never turn down someone for that reason. But if they have a goal that I don't think is attainable based on my experience, I will say I don't think we can do that. Um, that just comes from trying to operate with honesty and integrity. Is I do not want to say that I can do something that I don't think I can, regardless of the genre, the music. It's if I don't think I can do that, it's better for me to say no than to lead you down to take money and then there just to be disappointment at the end of it. That's more so the foundation of thinking when turning down an artist is if I don't think their goal, because we speak with them and we find out what is it you're trying to achieve. If we don't think we can achieve it, then we won't. But it's never just a sorry, we can't work with you. There's always alternatives. Maybe we can do this instead. Maybe we can focus on your social media. Maybe we could, I could recommend someone for the mix, etc. But if there's something like vocals are completely out of time, there's just nothing we can do with that, unfortunately. So maybe while you go and rework this song, we can work on another one. Um, there's always an alternative offered, but no, we don't just take on anyone. We have to review what's being sent in.
Okay. So, if a young producer came to you saying, I want to be the next anecdote, so like, what's the one piece of brutally honest advice you'd give them in 2026?
Focus on sync is what I would say is learn the sync game. TV shows, adverts, games, movies. That is where the financial success will come from. There is it's really nice to have 100,000 million monthly listeners. That's great, but the real financial stability, in my opinion, in the music industry comes from sync. Yeah, it's sync, and also really dedicating yourself to understanding it's a music business, and that just having good music is never going to be enough. Unfortunately, it never is. It's not about having good music. It's who hears the music. Is your brand something worth investing into? Is this something that generates money? What's the market that you're really searching for? When we go back with NCS, even though us as artists may not have fully understood that in the beginning, or maybe myself in the fully beginning, NCS had a very clear picture of what they were trying to do. No copyright sounds. It was very clear cut, and that has never changed. The market that they were going for was YouTubers. So because they understood the business side of the vision that they had, finding the music that fit that vision was That's not the hard part, that's
Yeah.
relatively easy. And I think with artists, it's understanding, well, where is my music meant to sit, and then working backwards. But I think for all of us, the end goal is financial stability. Is I want to be not just making, because playing shows is great, but if you are you going to play the festival and not get paid for it? Are you going to tour
That's
around the
correct.
world
Yeah.
and jet lag? No one's paying you for it. It's like, well, no, the end goal is money. Okay, great, nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it. We need to, but then you work back from that. So what are the avenues that are going to lead to that? Because in all 100% honesty, if someone offered you £100,000 or a headline slot at this festival, which one are you going to take? Which one is more important to you,
Well,
realistically?
yeah, absolutely. Money is important.
Yeah, and I don't, and maybe that answer might not be the same for everyone. Maybe someone might think, no, I'll take the headline slot because I can add that to my portfolio and I can charge more in the future and blah blah blah. But those things are not a certainty. There are many people that perform at these festivals and they take great videos, but in terms of like the bank account, it's not always what they would like it to be. But they have the videos, and yes, they have the repertoire, and they have the portfolio. But if someone is offering you guaranteed money for, I will give you £100,000 to use your song in all territories for the next 10 years, that is 100% guaranteed. And I would say those kind of opportunities come more so from the sync world than any other part of the industry, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying that money can't be made in other ways. There are people that, earn 50,000 for doing an hour set. I'm not, that does happen, but the likelihood of that happening, there's only so many headline slots, there's only so many festivals, there's only
Yeah.
so many, I mean, but when you look at the entertainment industry, there are far more shows, scenes, games, movies, marketing adverts, that are out there that your song can be used for than there are festivals that you can headline. And so just going by, the numbers game, you are far more likely to find some level of success in an industry that is legally required to pay you for music, because a scene without music loses emotion.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
that you are just far more likely to find a level of success in that area of the music industry than you are searching and chasing the headline gigs and the headline shows. Both are possible, but my humble opinion would be to understand the sync world. That will be the thing that has a higher probability of having a real change in your life as an artist. And actually, yes, I pay my rent with my publishing check that came through. That would be my humble advice to any artist.
Okay. Dre, if you're comfortable sharing, you have done some really meaningful work with young people who've been affected by challenging circumstances, including in youth centers, YMCAs, and even prisons, through music workshops and album productions. So, like, what drew you to that space, and how has that experience shaped what you are building with Beatsora today?
So that came from, as I mentioned earlier on, Matt Brooks. When I grew up in a Birmingham. I think my mom told me, I have not fact checked this, but my mother told me last week that Birmingham is the most deprived area in the West Midlands in the UK. So, and I grew up seeing that firsthand for sure. So we weren't in an extremely affluent situation in our early years. And so we spent a lot of time on the streets, playing around, finding something to do, not necessarily anything overly bad, but wasn't the most productive use of our time as young teenagers. And so it was a youth center that took me in, and they had a recording studio, and I had a great affinity and love for music, and so they allowed me to use the place almost every day. I also had an internship at a Grosvenor Road Studios in Birmingham as well. They took a bunch of us in as young kids and taught us how to do the basic engineering and setting up the studio for studio sessions. And in return, we could use their smaller spaces. Again, great use of time. Um, and now being in my early 30s, I can see that that was the building blocks of everything that happened musically and in business. It started because someone allowed me to use my early teens to just experiment and just understand how audio worked and signal flow worked, and just have that guiding force for very basic, simple music creation, not music business, but music creation in its simplest form. And so just gone off on a bit of a tangent, sorry. Could you remind me of the question? Sorry, it'll get me back on my train of thought.
Like,
Oh, youth work, got it.
yeah,
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 so
yeah,
now I try and do a very similar thing for young people as well, is if they are in a position where they have nothing to do and they're on the streets and they're in the wrong um crowds. Well, I what we do with Beatsora and what I've done personally is we go in and we provide like 6 week workshops. We say, well, we'll come in, we'll bring all the musical equipment that we'll need, and we'll create music. We'll do creative writing. We'll teach you how to mix, produce, all of the stuff that you want to do. And there was a very strong correlation between the individuals that are most at risk for antisocial behavior and criminal activity and their love for music. There's just a strong correlation there, you know. So
yeah,
we're able to work with these young people in a way that they want to. They don't want to fill out job applications. They don't want to learn more about maths. They want to make music. So they are very willing to come and work with us. And we use that as a funnel to learn more about their issues and say, okay, so what's really going on? You know, why are you doing, where do you feel like these choices are going to lead you in 10, 20 years? And they all know kids are not stupid. They're very smart, but they don't feel like they have any choice. It's like, well, what am I going to do? What else am I going
yeah,
to do? What's the point of me trying? Even in music, what's the point of me trying? And my answer to that is, well, you're sitting in front of someone who has made their whole life off music. Yes, it can be difficult, and yes, it can be hard, but that within itself is not a reason to do what you're doing. And that's the message we really try to push with the workshops, because in all honesty, that was the message that was pushed onto me, and it did allow me to go off and do all the things. So it is the most meaningful thing in my life, more so than anything else, working with young people and trying to have that change, and hopefully just set off a spark in someone's life that leads them down a different path is more meaningful to me than playing any music festival. And that's been something I've done. Yeah, I think since 2018, 2019. No, 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 no. Sorry, no. Since about 2020, I really started looking into it during COVID. Um, and once the first lockdown ended, that's when we were able to start doing things like virtually, so working with kids over Zoom essentially. And it just grew and expanded to now we've had kids who have performed in the House of Commons last year. Noah, as I mentioned earlier on, is about 50,000 monthly listeners. He's had, you know, real money distribution deals that have allowed him to travel millions of streams on his songs as well. Um, we've had kids that had no hope of getting into college that now have gotten into college because, as we said to them, you're not doing your music if your teachers are saying that you're not listening in class. It's as simple as that. I just won't let you in. And they are now in college. Endless stories of kids that have been affected and positively by the work that we've done. And it's something I don't think I would ever really want to stop doing. I hope in some regard for the rest of my life, I hope I will have some impact and change in young people's lives who feel like they just don't have anything else or feel that no one cares about them.
man, this whole story reminded me of one Grammy speech. I remember Jelly Roll won a Grammy this year, and he said that he was in jail previously, and after getting out, he devoted all of it into music, and now he's standing here holding a
Yeah,
Grammy in his hand.
exactly. It's not, but it's not really, you know, a testament to the music industry within itself. It's just a testament to your focus and your hard work and your drive. It can be any industry if you commit yourself to it. You have a no, there is not a 100% chance correlation, or sorry, causation. There is not. If I do 10,000 hours, 100% certainly guarantees that I'm going to be successful. No, life doesn't work that way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, it does give you a far greater chance. And that is all life is just putting yourself in the best position. And we say that with our marketing, you know, people that we work with as well, is us doing this campaign for the next 3 months does not mean you're going to get a record deal, but it will give you a better chance of an A&R coming across you and listening to your discography and saying, okay, I like what I'm seeing here. Because how else are they going to come across you if you're getting 10 streams on your songs? We have to do something to give you a better chance. And it's, you know, the same in music marketing as it is in life. You have to give yourself the best chance possible. And I tell you now, the streets is not the best chance possible. That is not the best chance for success, because that usually ends one of two ways. incarceration or death over a over a 20-year time horizon. It's decreasing your chances of actually being the person you want to be or getting to the places you want to get to. So better to stop now, and start giving yourself a better chance. Yeah. Sorry to get philosophical. It's just, we talk with these kids a lot about this stuff, and it's really, really serious stuff. And there are not a lot of institutions that really, truly care about the lives of these young people. In the UK, there was a statistic that came out. I remember the 2024 stat was I think it was 1 in 7 16 to 24-year-olds are not in education or employment, which means 1 in 7 kids that you see have no future. They're just, and if you have no qualifications or you have no work experience, what does the rest of your life look like if you just have nothing? 1 in 7 is crazy. So yeah, I take that very seriously, and I hope that over the course of my life, that will be something that people attribute my name to as much as they do 100 million streams. I strive to make that happen.
Beautiful, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
my next question is, you've been like very quiet on your new stuff, like for the past 4 years, something, I think. So is there a deliberate hiatus? Like, are you channeling your whole energy into Beatsora, like while producing behind the scenes? Or
There's a few things. Yeah, I mean, Beatsora was a huge part, building a business, especially anything in the music industry. Anyone making money off the music industry should be very highly commended because it's very difficult. But yeah, there's just an unbelievable amount of work that goes into not just building a company, but servicing the individuals, training employees, marketing, the education stuff. Whenever we're doing workshops, we're dealing with vulnerable young people. So that really needs a keen eye because anything can go wrong, anything can be said. Everyone needs to be DBS checked and, risk assessments and evaluation forms, all of that. There's a whole process within itself. Um, as well. And then I still perform as well. So the summertime is very, very busy. The winter time is very, very busy as well. Um, and yeah, and there's networking events. My life is there is a lot that is going on. And at the end of the day, there's just social media. If I'm being 100% honest, whenever I post, I get half people, DMing me asking, can you get back to this message that you missed? And another half, of people being upset that I haven't responded to them specifically. He's like, oh, you've got time to post, but you don't have time to respond to me type thing. And it's just, I would love to be a lot more active, but I think what I'm doing behind the scenes requires my attention more. I hope this month that I'll be able to post a little bit more because there's I'm getting a bit more free time, but I do run 2 businesses. I do perform. I do still have a relationship that I need to maintain, family members that are not always in the best health, um, siblings that I need to guide as well, and all of that will always take precedent over posting on social media. So apologies to anyone's message that I've missed, but my focus is having meaningful impact on the people in my life. And once I've done that, once time is free, then social media and DMs will become precedent again. But there's just too much going on, unfortunately. And I wouldn't say too much going on because I guess we make time for the things that we prioritize, and I prioritize my businesses and my family and my personal health far greater over posting on social media, and that's just the truth. And I think everyone should prioritize social media.
okay. So if you dropped a new anecdote track tomorrow, so what sound would it have? Like back to classic trap bangers, something more experimental, or evolved into more 2026 trends?
I think we'd probably, yeah, like something melodic for sure. Shire and I are messing around with an old idea that we've had, and he has put some vocals to it. So we'll see if we're able to finish that song. That is one that's really, really close to home to him because it's talking about a personal tragedy that he went through, and we spoke about it. We're very good friends, and he used an old demo that I sent him years and years ago, put some vocals to it, and it was like, wow, okay, it's like this was the song that just I felt like I had to get it out. So we do have that drifting around in the air. If we was to put something out, I'd say it'd be that, and that does have a very melodic and emotional tone to it, unbelievably so. Um, I wouldn't mind putting that out. I wouldn't mind us finishing that up, but we just both need to find the time to make sure that we get that done. And it does have a potential secret collaboration, which I don't want to name because it hasn't been finalized and finished, but there is definitely a possibility. There is definitely something in the works, and it would be a more melodically based song if we were to release it.
Okay. The EDM trap scene has changed a lot since the mid 2010s. NCS boom, streaming algorithms, TikTok virality, AI tools. Like, what do you think producers like you need to adapt to survive?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think, oh man, there's so much. I don't think it's a single answer. You know what it is? I think it's adaptability within itself. Is it's not just adapting to one thing. Oh, TikTok is now really popular. There'll be something else, or funk is now popular. There will always be something else. But I think being malleable and being willing to shift with not, when I say shift, I don't mean just chase trends. What I say is understand the trends and understand why they are working. Understand, okay, what can I incorporate from this that it will make me better or more successful in my craft. For example, funk is really popular, but it's not the genre itself you need to chase. You need to understand it's popular because it's being used in all of these shorts. And so, what is it about short form content that I can, when I'm creating songs, is this something that can be used in a similar way? Is there a hook that can be used for certain things? And it's very similar in the sync world as well. It's your song is meant to convey the scene. So you have to have an understanding of what you're creating this song for, what type of scene. Is it we had a project with EA and it was like anything around like go get it, you can do it, it was just these kind of taglines that they gave us. But it made sense because if this is going to be used in a boxing trailer, yeah, go get it. If it's going to be using football, racing, anything sports related is going to have that kind of tagline to it. So, okay, now it doesn't dictate the genre and it doesn't mean that we don't have creative control, but it means we have a vision that we're trying to work towards. And it's a similar line of thinking when it comes to just trends in the music industries. Understand why it's working. And once you have that understanding, then you can start implementing that creatively. Um, yeah, but you have to be adaptable and to do that. That's the only way you're going to stay relevant and be successful.
Looking ahead, what's the big vision? More anecdote music, like scaling Beatsora into something massive, or a entirely different pivot? And what would make you feel like I made it?
So my current goal is my 30s are definitely leaning me more in towards entrepreneurship and supporting young business owners. That now young business owners is a multifaceted statement that can come from any industry. But I definitely feel like supporting people and helping people generate income through whatever means necessary, whatever it is where my life is definitely leaning more towards. There are multiple ventures that I'm a part of, but that will probably be the primary, yeah, the primary goal of my 30s will be to be situated in a position where if someone came to me, I have the musical knowledge, but I also have the business knowledge to say, okay, this is the head you need to be thinking with to generate a better life for yourself. Because again, creatively aside, you need to pay your bills. So what is it that you can do to ensure that this is paying your bills in some regard? That is where my life is situated. And that's just through personal experience. That's just through going through, EDM and DJing and forming businesses and partnerships and such and just picking out these things that I learned along the way and doing my best to pass that knowledge on so it doesn't take someone else 10 plus years to learn the lessons that I've learned. That would make me feel more, I think I would feel a sense of accomplishment from that, from knowing that other people have had their financial lives changed by the time that we've spent together or all the work that I've been able to do with them.
Okay. My next question is, what is on your playlist?
I am really into Afro House right now. Yeah, I'm really into Afro House in the evening, jazz, lo-fi. I really like especially that Japanese lo-fi. Danny Sogan is a Japanese lo-fi artist I absolutely adore. I'd put him up there with Ricky Remedy for me in terms of like names that there's only two artists I could listen to forever. Those two will be up there for sure. But yeah, the Afro House stuff, I'm really enjoying that. I don't know what it is, but yeah, right now it's really resonating with me. Yeah, that's it. Jazz in the evening. That's really nice to have a glass of whiskey too. It's have a nice conversation. I do like anyone that works with me knows if we go out, we'll be going to a relatively nice restaurant, and that type of setting is really, it resonates with me. It's very peaceful. Yeah, I think Afro house and jazz and lo-fi are probably the three that are in my playlist.
What's your like one favorite track that you would recommend all the listeners to listen to?
Oh man, I feel like no matter what song that I this is gonna be so controversial, and I hope this doesn't get like clipped, but I will explain why. And it is, please don't laugh, but please, and understand why it would be probably Toxic by Britney Spears. I know. The reason being is I've always listened to that song, and I remember I was in university and we had to analyze like this song, and I really think that lyrically, um, creatively, like the arrangement of the song, the mix of the song as well, like it works so perfectly well. It is one of those, it's just, I don't know, I think it's one of those songs that perfectly encompasses a good mix, a good arrangement, a good vocal, a good message, good promotion. If you actually look at it, not from a genre perspective, but understand the product that has been creative and the decisions that have gone into why it sounds like this, feels like this, and how that helps the promotion of the song and the brand that Britney had at that point in time as a young pop icon for teenage girls. And the music video, it just works perfectly. It's like that is a sellable product, right? And I've always thought that. I've always looked at that song and I'm just like that. I can see why that did so well. Shakira, Hips Don't Lie is another perfect example of that as well, in a completely different range, but the Spanish influence and how she, and her as a the brand that she has and why that song so works so well and why it's loved across the world. Again, looking at these songs and analyzing them as a product, not musically do I like it, but why does this song do so well? It's very clear to see when you break down all of the layers of those two songs. And then applying that structure again into your music. How does this affect my brand? Where can this be used? What's the target market I'm going for? Is the mix good? Does it have to be super complicated to send a message? Is it memorable? Can I hear the first 10 seconds of this song and know what it is, or the first 5 seconds of this song and know what it is? What emotion is evoked when I hear the first 5 seconds? There's so many layers. I could do an hour breakdown of those songs, but yeah, Shakira Hips Don't Lie and Britney Spears Toxic, I think two have absolutely just nailed that. Probably a third one as well, Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars as well. Completely, again, nailed. Knew exactly what he was trying to do. Very clear. And I think it's very important to look at the commercial industry as well, because it's a commercial industry for a reason. It makes an unbelievable amount of money and it impacts people, the largest demographic of people across the world, arguably. Um, and it's good to analyze and look, okay, why do these songs do so well? And then obviously reverse engineering that into your songs as an EDM artist. You can learn a lot for sure. I have to give that long-winded answer because I have to explain why I chose those. So yeah.
That is amazing, man. Man, it's been I can't believe we have covered so much ground today, like from those explosive NCS days and the global stages to the incredible impact that you're making through Beatsora and giving back to young people. Man, it's been truly inspiring to hear your journey, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for having me. It's been really nice to, yeah, just to kind of go through memory lane, and your questions have been very challenging. They've really made me think, and it's been, yeah, it's been a pleasure, honestly, genuinely. And I love your energy as well. I can tell you're really passionate about this. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. Like coming from you, this truly means the world to me, man.
No, it's fine, but this is it. It's finding something that you're passionate about and going forward with it full pelt. I'm always happy to support someone who is doing that, and especially with the level of authenticity as well that you're bringing to this. I respect and commend what you're doing. So I'm happy to be here, happy to help, and I'm sure that you're going to achieve a lot of things with this podcast.
Thank you so much, man. So, as we wrap this up, I just want to end on a reflective note that I think will personally resonate a lot with our listeners, especially the aspiring producers tuning in. So, Dre, if you could go back in time and give one piece of advice to yourself when you were first starting out, what would that piece of advice be?
Do what you love. Do 100%. This, had I listened to a lot of the people in my circle when I initially started to go into EDM, I wouldn't have gone into it. I would have just gone into hip hop like everyone else. So I would say do what you love. Look for mentorship as well. Always learn from the people above you. 100, you will save yourself years in mistakes if someone just says, trust me, you probably shouldn't do this. Obviously, it's difficult to know who to trust, but mentorship in any regard is always going to be valuable. But definitely doing what you love. Because if you don't do what you love, it's gonna, you might as well just do a job anyway. If you want to push anything in the creative arts, it has to resonate with something within you. And if it doesn't, and you're doing something that you don't like doing just to make money, then wasn't that any how's that any different from just having a job? You know? So
Yeah.
love, and yeah, always seek mentorship, always seek advice, always seek knowledge from those that have come before you. And it will save you a lot of time, a lot of mistakes.
That was really an amazing advice, fam. Thank you so much for joining. This was truly amazing to have you on the show, Anecdote.
No worries, man. It's been a pleasure to be here. Like truly, it really has. This is really, really nice. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And thank you all for tuning into this podcast. Make sure you give this podcast a 5-star rating if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, and like and share and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, keep grinding, keep producing, keep working hard, and above all, don't tell anyone. Peace.